I'd like to take a look at a completely different example. Lambdas are heavily used in the new concept of minimal APIs. Consider this very small top-level statement. This is what you'd get when you type .NET new web in the console. The purpose of this application is to give you a very simple web application. This course is not on web programming using ASP.NET, so don't worry too much about the get, post, and all the details of this application. This is just an example of what is known as a minimal API. This approach heavily relies on using delegates and lambdas. There's some code in here that gives you a web application through a builder. Then the app is what you use to map functionality to different endpoints that handles web requests. A very simple example of this is to allow you to map the root of a website and then use a lambda expression to declare what happens when this path is requested. If I run this application, it spins up a website that returns the data from that anonymous function. Just as that, you've created your first API in ASP.NET. This is a good opportunity to talk about using attributes. Just like with other methods, you can use attributes with lambdas. In this case, I'd like to use a very specific attribute. Just to show you how this works, if I add a parameter to the anonymous function and append the attribute from header, this would indicate that the value is populated from one of the request headers that matches the name of the parameter. In this case, the accept header. Running this example application shows that we got the accept header mapped into this parameter, and we can use this within this anonymous method defined by our lambda. When a delegate is expected, a lambda provides a very nice way of defining that method. Throughout your work in C#, I can guarantee that you will be using lambdas, expressions, and delegates quite a lot, especially when you encounter the language integrated query, also known as LINQ. Consider a generic method. Because it's generic, the method that filters through the list doesn't necessarily know about the type. Therefore, it's difficult for such a method to determine equality. This is where delegating that comparison to somewhere else is clearly a beneficial approach. You could use a lambda expression to define that filter. This is yet another great example of where delegates, lambdas, and the anonymous functions are truly useful. Next, we are going to look at making it simpler and more convenient to declare that we expect a delegate by using action and func.